Hi, welcome to Diamond Delight Edibles. My name is Liz if this is the first time you're joining, and if you're a regular subscriber, thank you so much and welcome back. I really appreciate your support. Love your comments, guys. You've been really sweet. Appreciate it that nobody's been mean to me because I can't take a mean comment. Anyway, today I thought I'd go into something a little bit different. I always like to try to do something different. Everybody does brownies and fudge and gummy bears. So today I figured out how to do Ferrero Rocher chocolates, Cannabutter Ferrero Rocher chocolates. That's right, pretty much just like the real thing, with a wafer and everything. So this is an awesome recipe. They turned out amazing, so I really hope that you give it a try. And just before we get started, I just wanted to ask you guys a huge favor. If you wouldn't mind just clicking on an ad from the advertiser, that could truly help me out, so I really appreciate it. So without any further ado, I'm going to get into the ingredients and then the steps on how we make these awesome Ferrero Rochers. All right. So for our ingredients, you're going to need 200 grams or 7 ounces of milk or dark chocolate, 1 cup of raw hazelnuts, 1 package of hazelnut or chocolate wafers, 2 tablespoons of canna butter or canna oil, 1/3 of a cup of heavy cream, 1/4 of a cup of Nutella or hazelnut spread, and 2 cups of chocolate melts or modeling chocolate. And for your equipment, you're going to need a double boiler, a wooden spoon or a spatula, and some type of round mold. So you can either use a cake pop mold or a lollipop mold works. Right, so to get started making our Ferrero Rochers, the first thing that we're going to want to do is to roast our hazelnuts. So when you first get them and they're raw, they're going to have the skin on them. Don't try to get it off, don't worry. Once you roast them, the skin just peels right off. So you're going to roast these, you're going to put them in the oven at 200, preheat your oven to 250 degrees. Put them in for 20 to 30 minutes. And take them out and you'll know that they are completely roasted when the skins just peel off nice and easy. And then you want to have however many cavities for your molds of whole nuts, and then the remainder you're going to chop up into coarse chopped pieces. While your hazelnuts are roasting, we'll get our chocolate ganache prepared. So you're going to take your chocolate and break it up into its individual pieces. So what I like to do is I like to use 3/4 dark chocolate and about 1/4 milk chocolate. That's totally up to you. You can use all dark, all milk, or partial of what I do. So I'm going to do that of the dark, and it's 200 grams of chocolate or 7 ounces. And break them all up. And if you have the baker's chocolate or the chunks of chocolate, just chop it up into coarse chunks. Then we're just going to set our chocolate aside for a few minutes, and we're going to turn our double boiler on to medium low. And we are going to add our 1/2 cup of cream and get that heated up. And you're just going to occasionally stir the cream to get it evenly heated. And we just want to warm it up. We don't want it to bubble or simmer or anything. We just want to get it warm. And then while we're waiting for our cream to warm up there, you're going to take about 10 or 12 wafers, and you're going to break them up into small pieces. Kind of crush them up by hand here, just into a bowl. So feel just with the back of your finger. If once your cream starts feeling warm, then you can add the chocolate. So just add your chocolate in, and you're going to continue to stir this until it is fully melted. So you're just going to continue to stir your chocolate and your cream as your chocolate melts and your cream warms up. Both will start to come together, I promise you. Well, it takes about 5 minutes on the low heat, 5 to 7 minutes for this to happen. And you're just going to continue to cover the cream over the chocolate and continuing to stir and fold it over like that till the chocolate melts and the cream and the chocolate emulsify and become one homogeneous, lovely, beautiful chocolate ganache texture. And keep making sure to scrape the sides and to go right to the bottom of the bowl. Scraping the bottom of the bowl because the chocolate will begin to melt and it will stick there. So you want to make sure that you're getting it all mixed in. Now once your water in the pot is hot, and if you find that your chocolate is sticking it all to the bottom, turn the heat off because it just means it's getting a little bit too warm. You don't want to burn your chocolate at all. You can see how our chocolate is changing. It's coming together with the cream. It's becoming emulsified, and it's going to become shiny and a thicker texture. So you can see how it's continuing to thicken up as the chocolate finishes melting. And now we're creating a ganache. All right, now that we've got everything melted, and your chocolate should be nice and shiny and smooth, and nice and smooth texture. Now we've got ganache. Now we can add in our butter and the Nutella. All right, so now that our ganache is ready, we are ready to add in the Cannabutter and our Nutella. Now you want to make sure to heat up and melt your Cannabutter. You want it to be warm. If it's too cold and you add it in, it's going to seize up your ganache, which, there's not much you can do. So you definitely want to heat it up into the white microwave, and you want it to be warm. And we're going to add that in. And we're going to stir that until that is fully mixed in and emulsified with our chocolate and our cream. And again, by stirring from the center like this, you pull in the stuff from the sides into the center, and that's what creates an emulsion. So you're going to continue to do this until it's one uniform texture again. And you want to do this on the double boiler, but have the heat off. It's just going to sit on the warm bath so that everything comes up to the same temperature. Now that all that's incorporated in, I'm going to add in our Nutella. And again, I've heated up the Nutella about 45 seconds to a minute, but I did it at 15-second intervals. So again, you want to make sure that it's warm. Again, if it's too cold, it'll seize your ganache. We're going to add a little bit of that at a time, get that mixed in. And I used 3 tablespoons. So if your ganache is really thick, then you can add in 4 tablespoons, a quarter cup. If it's really thin, a little bit loose, then just add in about 2 tablespoons. Once everything's mixed in and you're done with that, we're going to take it off the heat and we're going to set it off to the side because we want this to come down in to about room temperature. So just set it off to the side while we're getting our molds prepared. So now we're going to prepare the molds with our wafers. So with our crushed up wafer, what you're going to do is you're going to just stick some into the cavity. Now, if you use the cake pops, they're going to be quite large. So I actually have this lollipop mold. It has smaller cavities, which are going to make far closer to the correct size. But if you're going to go, you can go with if you've got the cake pop molds, then you can just have some supersized Ferrero Rochers. So once you've got your wafers set in your cavities here, you want to find something kind of roundish. So I've got the end of an eyedropper here. The end of a whisk will sometimes have a nice round edge. That kind of has things on it, so that won't work for me. But look around your kitchen, anything with, like I said, a nice round edge to it. And then you just want to squish the wafers so that they form up around the sides of the mold. You want to create a nice even thin layer around, and you want it to come up, try and have it come up all the way to the top of that mold. And if it's a little bit shy, where am I? This one's a little bit shy. Just add in a little bit more there. And so you want to try and get it up as even around the edges as you can. And once we have those all set and concaved in there, fitted to the cavity, we're going to set those aside, and we're going to put our ganache into a piping bag, or if you don't have a piping bag, you can use a Ziploc baggie and just cut the corner. Alright, so to fill up a piping bag, I always like to put the piping bag around a cup, or some kind of cup. Anything will work. And we are going to pour our ganache. Give it a stir up because it's going to get a little bit of a skin there. Stir it up and dump it into your piping bag or to your Ziploc baggie. And then we're going to let this sit until it gets to room temperature. So we're just going to let it sit on the counter for about a half hour, 45 minutes. And while your ganache is setting, you can get your hazelnuts ready. So you want to pull out enough whole hazelnuts for the amount of molds that you have. Then with your remainder, you're just going to coarsely chop them up. And once you've got them all chopped up, just keep them in a separate bowl. And we'll be back shortly to put those together. Now that our ganache is cooled, you're just going to cut the tip. And then we're going to just fill up the molds. Like so. And once you've got them all filled up, you're going to plop one hazelnut right in the middle. Just got to scoot her down. Oops. Only on one side of the mold. Oops, don't move. Then once you've got all your hazelnuts in, you're going to put your mold together and put them into the freezer for 1 hour. And you want to make sure to firmly press it down and remove any excess that may come out of the mold. I just kind of use my fingers. Yeah, I know I'm messy. I've heard it before on the comments. Creative people are generally messy people, according to studies. So I must be a freaking genius, because I'm sure as heck is messy. Alright, so that's firmly together. I'll get the other one together. Alright, so I'm going to put those into the freezer for an hour, and then we'll come back, and then we're going to coat them with the outside chocolate and apply our chopped hazelnut. Alright, so about 10 minutes or so before you're going to take your Ferrero Rochers out of the freezer, you're going to melt up your melting chocolate or your modeling chocolate. So we have that ready. So you're going to turn your heat on to low and put it on set it up on the double boiler. Blah. I'm sorry, I'm doing this late, so I'm really tired right now. So as that's heating up, your chocolate will begin to melt. And once it starts to melt, then you want to begin stirring it. So you just want to give it a moment or so on the heat, and then we'll begin stirring. So as you can see, the chocolate's beginning to melt. So this is when you want to start to stir it, because the warm chocolate is going to mix into the cold chocolate and help to melt things a little bit quicker for you, as well as keeping everything consistent heat, the same heat. And once your water is hot in the pot and your chocolate is melting really well, turn the heat off. Now that our melting chocolate has all been melted, you're just going to leave it on the warm water bath with the heat off, and then we're going to get out our molds and put this together and make Ferrero Rochers. Alright, so these guys took them out of the freezer and take them out of the mold. Look at that, perfectly round little suckers. Aren't those cute? So you just want to be gentle if they're stuck. You just want to be gentle and try and work them out. Now we have our little naked rochers. Now we're going to cover them in chocolate and the hazelnuts. Okay, so now we've got our melted chocolate. You're going to just take one of your little naked Ferreros, roll it around in the chocolate, and use a fork, or if you've got those dipping tools, even better. You're going to shake off the excess. And then just give it a little roll in the nuts. My nuts are a little big. I think I'll cut those down a little bit. And just put them on the parchment paper to dry. So if your nuts are a little bit too big, big chunks like mine were, just take the back of a metal measuring spoon or any kind of spoon, and you can just crush them down a little bit more so that they're a bit smaller. More the Ferrero size versus the Fred Flintstone size. You just want to make sure to get a nice even coat of chocolate. And there you have it, Cannabutter Ferrero Rochers. And when these set up, I'll cut one open and we'll have a look at it. Alright, so that puppy's set up. And let's cut into that. Then once you're done, you can just get some tin foil and cut it into small squares. And then you're just going to wrap them up. There you go. Well, mine are silver, but you can find gold tin foil there. You can have a perfect Ferrero Rocher. And let's have a look at that. Oh, I wanted to show you this. So this was the one out of the size out of the cake pop mold, and that's the size out of the other mold. So this size is the actual size of a Ferrero Rocher. This is like a jumbo, as you can see. And there you have it. You've got your wafer, you got your nut, and you've got your hazelnut filling. And the next test is we're going to give the old taste test. They look awesome. Alright guys, so that was my tutorial on the Cannabutter Ferrero Rochers. I hope you give it a try. They're seriously awesome. I did try it before. I really didn't want to chew a chocolate on camera. Doesn't look good. So anyway, they are amazing. I hope you give it a try. If you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. I'll always get back to you. And my last thing is, instead of you could just click on an ad, that'd be awesome. I'd really appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and you have a wonderful rest of your day.